All right, we got another video by Homie Labs. Of course, you guys know we've been reacting to a lot of his videos. Probably the last video I'm going to react to him for a while, unless he releases something new that is very, very, you know, something that I need to know. There's maybe one more video I'm going to watch from him because I still don't understand the stigma that much, the Project Stigma, and he has a video on that. I don't know if it's like more of a theory or a video, but I'm probably going to check that out too. I have been playing the game. I am probably like chapter 3 right now. I've been playing on my phone. I will probably stream it at some point. I just want to get through the early chapters right now because I've done those when I first played the game, when I was, you know, when it first came out. I played it for a couple months before I dropped it. So I still remember all the stuff that's being explained, except I did notice that they kind of like revamped the beginning of the game a little bit. It's different than what it was, or unless I'm remembering it incorrectly. But we're going to check this video out by Homie Labs. What is Finality? So he explains Finality with like Kiana and everything going to the moon. I'm assuming this is the chapter, what is this, 37 update probably, I think it was 36 or something like that. So I'm gonna check this out, and again, make sure you guys like his video, subscribe to his channel. I'll leave the links to all of his stuff down below. Make sure you guys go show him some love, okay?
For many years, Honkai was a concept we knew almost nothing about.
This is
but
true.
That is the case no more. With the dawn of the latest story arc, the true
Elysia
nature
realm,
behind this previously unexplained phenomenon was revealed. After 6 years barely scratching the surface of this concept,
Bro,
chapters 33...
Isn't that crazy that it took 6 years for people to understand what Honkai is? Like, this is what I'm saying when I said in the beginning of the game, I stopped playing because I wasn't as interested. Many of you people that have played the beginning from the start, you guys know the game was not the best when it came out. The rates were really bad. It was not very free-to-play friendly. And the story wasn't that... It was good, but it wasn't like, oh my God, amazing, good, right? So they come a long way, though. The fact that they're still going 7 years later for a gacha game is incredible.
And 34 finally gave us permanent brain damage, but also some much needed answers. The only thing I urge you to keep in mind is that the concept of Honkai is still hard to grasp, and it requires some personal interpretation to present it in a cohesive video
I feel like that's
format.
done on purpose by the devs.
As even more information could be revealed in the future, some things may change or prove to be outright
Finality
false.
and origin.
In my opinion, Honkai is not something that can have a universally true explanation. It's an alien concept to humanity that our minds weren't made to fully comprehend. It's like explaining physics to a dog. So, by saying that Honkai is that or that Honkai is this, it's like taking one layer of an onion and saying,
and peeling
look,
it.
this is an onion. When in fact, it's not. It's just one layer of the onion. The true onion are all the layers on top of each other, but because each character sees a different layer of the onion...
Someone explain to me. This is Kevin's...
The true onion...
Some kind of transformation for Kevin, right? That's what this looks like. I'm assuming Kiana defeats Kevin, and like that's the end of her arc.
Are all the layers on top of each other, but
or
because
Kiana
each
and
character sees a different layer of the onion, they also use different analogies when talking about it. So what I want to do is go through each layer of the Honkai onion and explain it separately.
Okay. Early explanation. This is good because I just started playing the early game again, so this is good for me.
Honkai is an unknown force that rises with the advancements of human civilization. This is the oldest and most simple definition that, well, turned out to be kinda wrong.
Oh, okay, because before I was saying that this reminds me of Final Fantasy XIV, where the icons or the summons in the Eidolons, whatever, in Final Fantasy XIV, they get stronger the more people that pray to them, the more people that acknowledge their existence, etc. Or even like if you haven't played 14, maybe you've watched the anime Noragami, where the more that people believe in the god, the stronger the god is, etc. I thought it was something kind of like that.
confirms in chapter 34 that this was more of a assumption and that in reality all the flow of Honkai energy is controlled by the cocoon of finality.
Oh, cocoon.
This
We getting
giant
into Final Fantasy
meatball
13
from the
territory?
moon. Yes, there might be small correlations between humanity's technological advancements and how active the cocoon of finality is, but that's a much more complex situation. It's better to say that Honkai rises when it thinks that humanity is ready for its embrace and a more advanced civilization is more prepared. Selene failed in the previous era because no matter how much Honkai energy it converted, the cocoon would just bring out more. There wasn't just a set amount of Honkai energy present, depending on how advanced they were. Oh, and did I mention that humanity is also trapped in a freaking 50,000 years old samsara by the finality?
So by samsara, do they mean like a time loop? Like an endless loop? Is that what he means by samsara? I don't know what the definition of samsara means. Someone explain that to me in the comments. What I'm assuming he means by that is they're in some kind of fucking infinite loop, 50,000 year infinite loop where these things just keep repeating themselves?
We are doesn't matter anyways, because after 50,000 years everything resets.
Oh, okay. I should just let him finish then. Yep.
But let's go into more details about
Makes
this
sense.
in the next section.
Honkai is a test. Dude, that scene by Otto is so awesome.
This perspective was offered by Atto in chapter 17. By this point, we started to explore more into the cosmology of the Honkai universe, tackling concepts such as the Sea of Quanta and the Imaginary Tree. So we kinda knew that Honkai must be related to those concepts.
Yeah.
Atto calls Honkai a corrective system in the Imaginary Tree that breeds, nurtures, tests, and removes civilizations. Now that we have some context,
So is there just no way to get rid of Honkai energy ever?
I can say that he wasn't really wrong. We know that Honkai does indeed come from the Imaginary Tree, and what it does can be indeed interpreted as a test. My qualms with this are the fact that Atto calls it a system in the Imaginary Tree, which is not quite true in my opinion. Rather than a universal system, Honkai is more so the influence of a higher being from the Imaginary Tree that we refer to as the Finality. Sure, you can argue that it's just semantics, but I wanted to point this out. In Atto's interpretation, I believe that the word test refers to the evolution of human civilization. Kevin mentioned at some point that Finality wants to embrace humanity. It's important to note that in this context, embrace refers to the fact that Finality wants to force humanity to evolve. Tesla said in chapter 34
I love May like that, the God of Thunder.
It's like an embrace from its power, and that Finality has the authority of...
Someone ended up telling me in the comments last video that I think it was 6.2, you can get her for free. Is that still a thing? Or can you not do that anymore?
Time, because it functions on a trial and error basis. If the embrace fails to force humanity's evolution, it resets everything and tries again. Now, if that's the case, the new question is why? Dr. May calls it a civilization that became one will, implying that Finality is just a higher form of civilization that seeks out less advanced civilizations on the Imaginary Tree that have the potential to evolve and become part of it. It's like us taking some literal monkeys and force them to evolve into...
I put Monkey D. Luffy. Oh, okay, dude.
To humans, but on a cosmic scale. So, in my opinion, this is the test that Atto was talking about. We pass when we can find a way to evolve and become a part of Finality. The only thing that seems to have changed from Atto's explanation is that if we fail, we know now that the samsara is reset. We do not fall into the Sea of Quanta like it was previously stated, but from chapter 32, we learn that Finality's powers can in fact create multiple bubble universes from the impact it has on the world.
Wait, what do you say?
Create multiple bubble. We learn that Finality's powers can in fact create multiple bubble universes from the impact it has on the world when it resets the samsara.
So is Is Honkai Star Rail and Genshin technically a bubble universe of Honkai Impact 3rd? Or am I understanding that wrong? Honkai is fiction.
This is the concept of Honkai looked at through the lenses of philosophy and is closely tied to Plato's theory of forms. Prometheus says that reality binds fiction. In this context, fiction means anything imaginary that is not constrained by the limitations of our reality. Okay. Imaginary space is a space where concepts and ideas exist freely without being bound by any laws. In short, they can simply exist as platonic ideals. Okay. Honkai is essentially the entire concept of fiction existing in a way that is virtually incomprehensible to humanity. Hershers rule over some concepts like reason, void, domination, or death. These concepts are all narratives that humanity itself has come up with, and they have a meaning that most people was so cool. It's like Gilgamesh. Hershers are the rulers of said concepts, and they hate being bound by reality and its laws. In a sense, you can say that Honkai is using humanity's concepts and ideas against them. The reason why Honkai tries to destroy humanity is precisely because of this exact opposing nature of our existence. Humanity represents a shared story of many, while Honkai likes to be the protagonist. While in the imagination of a writer, the story can be anything and it's free to develop into endless possibilities. Okay. But the moment the writer uses its pen to transcribe the story from his imagination to reality, that's when fiction gets trapped in a cage. How many times have you seen people write fanfiction or do fan art of some moments in a story that they wanted to see but never got the chance? Our need for making fanfiction stems from a collective desire to take control over a narrative and free it from the author. That is the exact same reason why the imaginary wages war against reality, and that's why the previous era Hershers had such a strong hatred towards humanity. If you want a deeper understanding of this interpretation, I recommend to watch my video about...
Okay, see, this is the video I said I wanted to watch because I still don't understand Stigma, so I'm probably going to watch this.
Project Stigma, where I go into more details.
Maybe I should have watched that first. It's okay, we'll watch it. Honkai wants to hug you.
This explanation is easier to understand because it's more science fiction and less philosophy. But even so, it created a lot of misunderstandings in the community. To explain the concepts behind the Honkai, the characters have to use a lot of analogies, and sometimes, depending on how they use them and how accurate the English localization is, those analogies can do more harm than good. I saw so many people thinking that Honkai is some kind of lonely god that just sits in a dark corner of the universe and is looking for friends. And
literally, his explanation of that literally sounds like me, Tion, from Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. If you know, you know. Like, literally sounds like me, Tion.
While this is not really wrong on a conceptual level, people are looking at it through very shallow lenses. We are talking about a higher form of existence that we cannot understand, so we use analogies like embrace, love, and lonely to simplify it. These are not meant to be taken literally. Anyway, Dr. May speculates that finality is just a more advanced form of a civilization where the individuals became one will, similar to the spiritual Adam that Project Stigma wants to create.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of things that they do in Final Fantasy XIV storytelling and Endwalker here. Okay.
It's a sort of cosmic collective
consciousness. It reminded me of...
that is looking...
There's a alien race that you see on Endwalker in Ultima Thule, specifically when you're seeing Y'shtola and Urianger, they're talking to this like almost this race that kind of looks like Vivi a little bit. They got like just black like forms. It's not even just like a physical form almost. And they're talking about how they were, and there's also the machine race that does the same thing, where the Grahatia part of Ultima Thule, where they're talking about becoming like a singular mind like a singular unity, as like an advanced form of civilization to survive, etc.
To grow, to expand. So it instinctively looks for other forms of civilization.
I will say right here, sorry I keep pausing him, if you guys really enjoy Honkai Impact 3 storytelling, I highly recommend, if you haven't already, to play or at least try. You can play for free up to level 70, the first expansion. The meme, I'm not going to say the whole meme, but you guys know where I'm going with this. Final Fantasy 14 Online. The storytelling in that game, if you are into something that has a nice ongoing story with a lot of lore, a lot of gameplay, a lot of hours you can sink into the game, probably with all expansions included, just main storyline and everything, probably a good 400 hours, right? Like, it's a lot. Then you have raids, you have all that stuff. I haven't played it in a while, you know, since I beat Endwalker and did the raids and stuff. A lot of patches have come out. I'm waiting until they announce the expansion for me to binge through the new patches and do the new content. But if you guys are into Honkai Impact 3 storytelling and you absolutely love stuff like this, I 100% recommend at least trying Final Fantasy 14, because you can play for free up to level 70, which is the first expansion, Heaven's Ward, which is critically acclaimed as one of the best expansions in the entire game. A lot of people like that, or Shadowbringers, or Endwalker. I love them all. My favorite's definitely Shadowbringers, but I think you guys would really enjoy that.
Have the potential to
if you
become
enjoy
part
Honkai.
of it, and tries to force their evolution into imaginary beings like itself that can coexist with it. Project Stigma tries to find some sort of compromise by spreading the embrace of finality evenly to the new humans and making them coexist with finality. This way, humanity won't be completely gone, and its ideas can still continue to exist as forms. Finality doesn't have any ill will, love, or any kind of human emotion. It's more like an instinct. It's a cosmic level entity that we cannot comprehend, so we use simple human analogies to make sense of its behavior.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Please don't take them
Yeah,
literally.
don't take them literally, yeah.
What you should take literally instead is me saying to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up to get more Honkai related content.
Finality. Okay, here we go. The big one.
A question I see asked a lot is if Honkai and Finality are the same thing. Short answer, yes. Long answer,
no.
Not really. Here is my interpretation. Honkai, in its essence, is energy from imaginary space. Let's call it imaginary energy. In its natural state, the energy lies in imaginary space and doesn't do much. But under the influence of a will advanced enough to control it, the energy can be brought in lower dimensions and bent to the will of that higher entity. We have—
Wow, this also reminds me of something from Final Fantasy 14. So the imaginary energy reminds me of something in Endwalker that's explained as Dynamis, which is like, it's like a form of like energy, like your emotions, that is like an invisible energy that's in the world that can be influenced by ether, that can change people and make them go mad. It kind of reminds me of like Hershers a little bit. I wonder if they like have any kind of relationship. I'm not relation, but you know what I mean. If it's similar in a way.
Humans have a certain degree of control over imaginary energy. A good example would be Durandal's photo from chapter 34 that shared her memories with Siegfried and Kiana. That photo is an imaginary construct made from Durandal's memories. In my humble opinion, Honkai is imaginary energy under the influence of finality, which is a higher form of existence than the imaginary tree and has a much more advanced control over the imaginary energy. Since finality has no real form, it projected itself in the world of Honkai Impact 3 in the form of the cocoon of finality, from where it can bring and control the imaginary energy. The imaginary energy under the influence of finality is what we call Honkai. So, finality equals a higher form of existence, Honkai equals energy from imaginary space under finality's control. Again, this is my personal interpretation. I'm sure that chapter 35 will give us more answers.
I wonder how long it takes him to do videos like this.
Now this is a topic I want to talk about for quite some time. In chapter 31EX, we found out that the Wheel of Honkai is actually a version of Prometheus, an AI created by Dr. May to assist in fighting the Honkai. In the last moments of the previous era, Prometheus hacked the cocoon of finality and forced it to repeat the same Herrscher cycle in the new era and give Kevin the authority of finality. Note that this implies that even if the samsara keeps repeating, the Herrschers are not necessarily the same, and this makes sense given the whole trial and error functionality of finality. If the Herrscher of the Void failed in the previous cycle, why send it again? This is also a really nice reference to the myth of Prometheus, who in Greek mythology stole the fire from gods and gave it to humans. But, in my opinion, Prometheus and the Wheel of Honkai are not exactly the same existence. Mobius clearly said in the same chapter that Prometheus will lose its human-like way of thinking and become part of finality. I see the Wheel of Honkai more like an avatar of finality that has been programmed to do certain things by the previous era, and its existence as Prometheus has been completely lost.
You know, I'm gonna be honest, I hope Star Rail doesn't get like this complicated, because as like if you're someone that's like not really like looking deep diving into the lore and stuff, this can get kind of confusing like casual players.
Oh boy, now here we have some big revelations.
For the Herrschers.
In chapter 34, we learn that Herrschers aren't actual Herrschers. Or, to be more exact, they are lesser versions of a true Herrscher. The midbow the cocoon of finality is actually one giant Herrscher core, and the other Herrscher cores are just projections of its powers through different dimensions. This means that the only true Herrscher is the Herrscher of finality, and all the other Herrschers are like shadows of its power. Anti-Entropy's plan to stop the Honkai is to create an artificial Herrscher of finality.
So I'm assuming the only true Herrschers are the Herrscher of origin and the Herrscher of finality then.
And let humanity take direct control over its authority to stop the samsara and block the imaginary singularity from the cocoon to bring more Honkai energy into reality. Because Sirin could wield 6 authorities without losing herself, Anti-Entropy wants to gather all the Herrscher authorities and make Kiana into an artificial Herrscher of finality. But more on that plan in another video. Oh, and chapter 34 also reveals that there are no Herrscher personas in the current era. What we thought that it was a Herrscher persona in May's case was actually the wheel inside her stigma this whole time. You see, May had a natural stigmata that gave birth to a wheel similar to Red Cele when her father implanted the Gem of Conquest inside her to save her life. This caused May to think that the other wheel was created by the Honkai, but in fact it was her stigma all along. Honestly, this makes more sense given what we know about Elysia's sacrifice. Is it a retcon? I mean, yeah, probably. I saw some people bringing Anna up and how she fought over control with her Herrscher persona. And while I see where they are coming from, these recent chapters also imply that a person can just lose control of themselves as a Herrscher if they are not well suited to adapt to that power. What happened with Anna was more like her going berserk and losing control over her own will. We never saw a Herrscher persona in there. The characters assumed that she was fighting one because they didn't know at that time that Honkai has no influence over Herrschers in this era.
Finality is the Aeon Terminus. Wait, because of is there an Aeon called Terminus in Star Rail? I don't think so, is there?
Sky people and the Sugars, we know that Honkai is not limited only to the world of Honkai Impact 3rd. But that begs the question, does this higher form of existence have a different name in other worlds? And oh boy, you'd be surprised. If you played through the beta of Honkai Star Rail, there was an interesting message on one of the loading screens that talked about a being called Terminus,
Oh,
and
that's
I quote,
true!
"The eon that moves backwards in time and presides over the path of finality." Sounds familiar? Finality,
Oh,
time,
shit.
eon? Not to mention that the loading screen is accompanied by this very familiar
stigma.
symbol. Look, I don't want to say anything since we lack evidence to make a foolproof connection, but there is a very high chance that this higher form of civilization on the imaginary tree that caused the Honkai to appear in the universe of Honkai Impact 3rd is Terminus, the eon that resides over the path of finality. Oh, and I also think that the Sky People could be the Creed Okay, look,
Oh,
I
wow.
have no freaking idea how to pronounce this. Who are worshippers of the Eon Terminus, said to await their encounter with him. So, what is Honkai? Well, it's a test. It's fiction. It's destiny. It's an alien civilization from a higher dimension that wants to eat us. It's an evolution mechanism. It's a natural disaster. It's a concept beyond our understanding. Honkai can
I would argue that the best way to describe Honkai is a calamity. In my opinion.
interpreted and understood on a very large scale, and while none of these interpretations are particularly wrong, they will also never
That's a
be
beautiful
able
shot.
to encapsulate its whole meaning.
Wow, that is very fucking... This is probably one of the best videos I've seen by him. That was really good. I very much enjoyed that. I'm probably going to check out his Stigma video. And then that's probably going to be the last video I check from him for a while. I feel bad that I'm like using his content, but honestly, it's so hard to understand the lore of the game. Especially if you haven't played it in a while. And I'm trying to... Honestly, these videos got me excited to play the game. His videos. It's very, very good. Again, I'm going to leave the links to all of his stuff down below in the comment section and the pinned comments in the description. So make sure you guys, if you're subbed to me and you're not subbed to Homie Labs, make sure you sub to his channel. I'm wondering if he's going to do any Star Rail, like legit Star Rail lore videos besides the lore guide that he has, like the beginner guide for Star Rail. Because honestly, the game's been out for a couple months now, and there's actually a lot of stuff in Star Rail. Thankfully, I'm caught up with Star Rail, so I know everything that's going on. And I have my own theories about things that are going to happen, and I've seen leaks and stuff. So I'm trying to stay away from the leaks, though, because I want it to stay very, very fresh in my mind. With you know, and then the reactions to stay very genuine and true, right? But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Helps me out a lot. Hitting the like button helps out more than you know. Ring the notification bell if you have not already to be notified for future reaction videos and any kind of Honkai lore or Honkai videos, Final Fantasy 16 stuff. Gonna be covering a lot of other games in the future, solo leveling, maybe Black Clover Mobile. Not sure how I feel about Black Clover Mobile right now. It's very PvP and pay to win heavy, but the PvE aspects of the game and the guild stuff is actually very fun too. Just don't know if I'm going to go as hard as I did for 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross, because I am not into whaling on PvP games anymore for content. It just does not feel fun to me, and it doesn't feel fun to my wallet. I've saved a lot of money now that I don't do that anymore. But yeah, we're going to be covering that, solo leveling, 7 Deadly Sins Origins when it comes out, which is kind of like a Genshin clone, but looks a little bit better than Genshin, honestly. Obviously, Honkai Star Rail, Honkai Impact 3rd, Trails into the Reverie. That's going to be stuff that we're going to be covering in the channel. So if any of that stuff sounds enticing to you guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And I hope to see you guys on the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.